not ready.
It's okay. Part of that was muted because I was like, oh no, music is louder than I expected.
Well, next time you'll expect.
Why is that green? What?
There we go. I fixed the music
Like a
problem.
bluey tinge.
It's not.
You just drink it. You're just drinking blue milk.
There we go. Hello, everybody. Oh, Jesus Christ. 20 sub, gift sub, kablowy.
Kaboom.
Jesus. H Christ.
Welcome to the hype train.
Welcome to the hope train? You say hope train?
I said hype train.
So listen, we always have more than we have time to do. So I don't want to get sidetracked right off the bat. But I thought I'd let you guys know that I saw a bit of a unicorn. Was it yesterday or the day before? Well, what day is it? 2 days ago. It made me happy. I saw my first ever Trump 2020 mask. That made me very happy because the person wearing it was wearing it like this.
God fucking damn it.
And I was like, oh man, I want to tell him how much of a meme he is. I want to tell him how much of a meme he is. But he was, I don't think he would know what a meme was. So I thought I'd share that with you guys because I had the opportunity to witness a Trump 2020 mask being worn like this. It just made me so happy. Okay. Apparently you guys aren't amused by that. I guess this is a uniquely American thing. Okay, well.
I look at that and go, that person is killing people.
I mean, that and think, well, isn't that great that he probably did that because Trump decided to wear a mask one time?
Yeah, the funny part is
He's not wearing it right.
Before I saw the person, I overheard a conversation where somebody else who was much younger, a woman who was much younger, literally said, "Oh, so how you feel about wearing the mask?" And he goes, "Honestly, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as I thought it would be." She goes, "Oh, you don't think so?" And he goes, "No, honestly, I have no problem breathing." And I didn't know because I wasn't looking. And then like 5 minutes later on, I looked to see because I was doing something, looked to see he was talking, and I was like, "Oh." Anyways, I'm sorry. Okay. Off this conversation, it just amused me way too much. Tesh, you missed some stuff.
Apparently.
Maybe we should have a look to the clips.
I'm sorry, what?
Tesh, if Neil starts talking about chodes or anything like that, if you could just go ahead and cast a healing spell on him, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
I will say, wait,
Scott,
I did notice what you chose to do
Yeah.
for the replacement.
It was quite a good one, actually.
What is up with the coin in the eye?
It's Odin.
Odin.
Oh. The piece.
Yeah,
yes.
I saw that.
Yeah.
When
I
Scott
was
thinks
very
back to
happy
last
with
week, all he thinks is easy chode.
Yeah, unfortunately, all I can think is that and trying to have a good moment with Jaden. But
He did have a good moment.
Yeah. All I could think about was your chode.
Probably she could as well.
Once more with feeling.
My head hurts already. It's gonna be a long night.
It was pretty fun. It was pretty good.
That'd be the review she gave. That was pretty fun. It's pretty good. Moving on. All right. Hi, Jake. How are you? Do you have a voice?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Listen, I'm doing great. Jake, can you just go ahead and use your voice to tell me how much you enjoyed your Saturday morning?
Once more with feeling.
Saturday night.
I mean, it was alright.
Yeah?
And then certain things happened, and yeah,
Yeah?
I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole.
Oh, you're not? Oh, okay, cool. I thought I'd give you an opportunity to
Do I have bestow? Do I have bestow playing out in Fusion 1 or 2?
Once more with feeling.
2. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Doggo.
Well,
Look, I enjoy our game. Okay, I really enjoy Kingmaker.
Once more with feeling.
Alright, that's all I'm saying.
What? I am. What?
Don't worry, you'll find out.
This is about the timey-wimey stuff.
Once
Yeah.
more with feeling.
Yeah,
Regicide were like, wait a minute. Our game isn't as good as their game. Let's ruin it for them. No.
I don't know if I was kidding at that. I think it feels accurate.
Feeling.
Yeah. Hashtag blame Rena. Hashtag down with the queen.
Hashtag blame Miss.
Wait, hold up. What's happening?
Hashtag time got messied.
Do we have to use the new portal I found to sneak up on them?
Unfortunately, that wouldn't work. They're kind of to your south. They're actually in Adir. Have been. For some months.
Okay.
Now, I'm fairly certain our agreement with the devils keeps all devils out of a deer, actually. So, can we just retcon that? Ophios just gets bounced off at the border.
It's okay. We're reaching the levels of Pathfinder that 5e would have trouble dealing with. If we have to, we can deal with them.
I mean, we reached that a long time ago, to be fair.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not wrong. when one did more damage than an angel in a fight.
I mean, that happens. Yeah. It happens. It's a lie. There's no proof, no evidence. It's a lie.
Except there is.
it was in the chat logs, mate.
I didn't see it. Sorry.
Good thing that all these sessions are recorded and everyone.
There are a
can,
lot of
go
things
back
that you
and
don't
count
notice,
it
Scott,
and-
to be fair.
That one's gonna like mysteriously disappear and reappear with like a thing over the chat box.
He's just deleting the YouTube button now.
You think I go to YouTube? I'm a week behind in my uploads again.
It's only a week. So that's very good.
It's
All
still,
right. I'm not that bad. Yeah.
it's better than it used to be,
Don't
where I'd
beat
have to
yourself,
go and
dude.
use
Don't do
the
it.
Twitch player to keep up with things, and the Twitch player is terrible.
It is terrible. Yeah. Yeah. But listen, every time I catch myself up on YouTube and I'm like, oh, I'm going to catch up. This is good. Then I have lots of people being like, I'm only here because Scott is garbage at uploading on YouTube. I have like 8 people say that. And I'm like, you know what? You 8 people are some of the most important members of the community, some of those vocal members. You're incentivizing me being bad. Thanks, Norway and Ano and John and Josh and others.
Something tells me they're lying.
No, they voiced frustration.
A what?
My poor uploading on YouTube. So
Oh yeah, I mean, but they're not saying that. I'm pretty sure they probably still show up.
There are many things that I think that we should as a society take from Eastern cultures, but I think what you should do right now is stand up on camera, bow, bend over, double at the middle, and shout sumimasen.
I don't know what
That means sorry in Japanese.
I have a feeling it's a lie.
It's not. Google it right now. Go on, do it.
I'm not gonna Google that.
Do you need me to you need me to tell you how to Google it? Like send you a Google this link. I know that it's a bit difficult for someone of the older generation.
I love that Google this link thing. It's so passive aggressive.
It's got a place, hasn't it?
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing this. I'm
Anyway,
not
you
having
should-
your
you need to
your hentai
apologize
foot
to-
fetish porn showing up on my camera.
That right there is a.
Why? It makes no sense.
It's just a Japanese language thing, and you
Uh-huh.
instantly you're like hentai.
Yeah, because it's you, Neil. Because it's you.
Someone
All
set
right.
this boy off.
All right. So, anyways, hi everybody. I think we're here for Kingmaker, and not Neil's Neelery. Last session when we played, before Regicide happened. Last session when we played, we left off with knowing that you wanted to talk to Octavia at Vigil, knowing that we wanted to do one more kingdom roll.
Wait, hey, what? Hey, what? Wanted to talk to Octavia.
Knowing that you wanted to do
how
one
the
more
dead
kingdom
came
roll.
back to life?
That's big thing to skip over in the recap of what happened last week.
To be fair, though,
Doesn't
it was a
surprise
cliff
me.
note in last week's session. Because, the chode took up so much space.
Very wide. It took a long time.
Took a while to get around the chode.
Scott's describing this character test. He's like, so Isaac
do it again.
Trode, he's quite a thick man. He's thickly built, and I'm there like, ah! He doesn't mention height at all, and I'm like, Scott, please tell me he's tall. And he's like, what? And I'm like, please. He's like, yeah, he's like 6'3", and I'm like, oh, thank God. And Scott goes to take a sip of coffee, and he's like, why? And I'm like, because I thought you made Easy Chode and made him short and fat, and he just.
The worst part is the character who he was named after is apparently. I don't know if you saw it in spoilers chat, but it's apparently this like toad guy, King Trode or something. And I was like, this is not helping my case. Do you see it, Tesh?
It was time well spent last session, put it that way.
It was time well spent. That was gold.
From that little hour-long bit. That
Yeah, you
says a
should
lot.
definitely watch those clips. You see us all just like dying at some point.
I will have to do that.
At some point in time, we're gonna have to actually get back to playing the game. So have to focus on get a book, read the rules, play the game.
Okay,
tell me
you
your
want to know
boyfriend was
something
still
you're going to
out.
be unhappy about, Scott?
What's
For a
that?
second, I'm like, is that Wade?
I have all my hair.
No,
And unlike
It was-
Wade, I can
it was-
dance.
It was too short to be Wade.
True, very true.
Wow.
Oh, because I'd blocked out the possibility that it could be you at first. So I was like, who else? Kind of looks like Wade.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got it.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready to go, my friend.
I really wanted to hang out with Josh tomorrow, but because I'm going on vacation to Maine next week, and Maine actually has pretty strict rules about people from Mass coming in general, Brittany was like, probably not a good idea to hang out with somebody who lives in the inner city that just moved up from Florida,
Who has had COVID?
who has had COVID in the past, so that does mean he would have antibodies, unless the
We
mutation
don't
is-
know that
Not
yet.
necessarily.
Yeah.
We don't know,
Well,
unfortunately.
Well,
yet.
that and they already believe that there may have been a mutation already, another strain already. So, she's like, so we should probably do that after we come back. You can totally hang out. And I was like, fine. She's like, you do what you want, but I'm just saying. I was like, why do you have to be logical and reasoning? Josh's disease, I get it. It's that Florida. He needs to soak in more Boston, before he's allowed to visit. We might catch crack.
I catch crack.
Yeah. All right. So in the game.
I feel like when you meet him, you're going to catch crack of some form.
Vigil. You guys wanted to meet with Octavia and Vigil. You wanted to have one final before the next season. Time skip, so like a month jump. Kingdom roll. That's what I'm looking for. Other than that, I don't think there was any actual in-game. Well, even the Kingdom roll is not really in-game. That's more chatty, right? This is more about setting up, because again, this is our between season thing. This is our kind of like hangout, talk about last season, prepare for next season, what direction we want to go in, so on and so forth. Of course, what direction we wanted to go in may have been warped somewhat. So I don't know how you guys wanted to start this, which direction you wanted to go. Do you want to talk to Vigil, to Octavia first? Or did you want to have some some meta chatty about the game first?
I
as
don't know
well.
enough about
I'm down for going ham.
Yeah.
Like you want me to roast a ham right now and make you a sandwich, or?
Yeah, I would actually really love a roasted ham.
I'd-
Like, what
I'd
are you
go
gonna?
sandwich.
What are you gonna? I'd like you to boil it first.
I'm
You
making
boil
a
it in-
soup.
You boil it in like apple juice or something, and it'll take in a load of the flavor. And
Oh,
stuff. And then afterwards
okay,
you roast it.
yeah.
Whoa.
So, but you're talking about boiling it in a raw ham, I imagine, not like because ham is
Yeah,
usually
yeah.
cured. Ham is usually cured.
Yeah.
first.
So it's cured. So at that point, is it a ham? Can you eat it like ham? Probably.
Yeah.
But then you're re-cooking it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you're almost cooking it 3 times because curing's not quite cooking, but it is.
Yeah.
And then you're boiling it and then you're roasting it. I've never tried that.
You know, it's a Filipino dish. It's like called pork adobo or something. That they cook it like three different ways. It sounds really nice.
Just because our vernacular sometimes is different. Are you talking about apple juice or apple cider?
I'm talking about apple juice, but I would also go for apple cider. I mean, like,
Yeah.
as long as it's proper scrumpy, cider would work fine, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
But what you want is an apple flavor.
Yeah. And that's why I was kind of thinking apple cider, because the apple juice, at least here in the U.S., usually has so much sugar like shoved into it. You know what I
But
mean?
you could have like fresh, like cloudy apple juice that's concentrate. That
Sure.
might work better.
Sure. I mean, that stuff's a little less common, despite the fact that I live where apples are grown. We export apples. Usually you're still buying, garbage apple. Anyways, moving on, back to the game. So,
I was today old when I learned scrumpy as a word.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. You said scrumpy, and then Scott understood. I was like, what?
I enjoy that interaction.
I went and Googled it.
It's a good word to know.
No, it's a word. I just Googled it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, to the game. So you're saying by going ham, you want to actually just jump right into the,
That'd be my preference, yeah.
Okay, cool. So if you, make your way, so the general himself, came a calling saying more or less like, hey, Oklo would like, sorry, not Oklo, I don't know why I have Oklo in my head. Octavia would like to have a word with you. You know why Oklo got in my head? Because somebody referenced Oklo in a chat before, and I was like, why do I know this word Oklo? What town is Oklo? Where are they talking about? Where is Oklo? No, they were referencing the person, the community, Oklo.
Oh, right.
And I was like, oh my God, it's the Oklo. The sentence was taken in a way that I could have taken it as a person or a place, and I just assumed it was a place I'd like to visit. Just saying. So you guys make your way to, who's going to Vigil? I should ask.
I mean, it's reasonably safe
all of
now,
us,
so
I
I
assume.
think, yeah, I think all of us should.
Reasonably safe? What happened to the Spectres?
They're still there. 100%.
But we're meeting outside of Vigil.
Or 98.5%.
98.5%.
So you are all going to meet outside of Vigil, correct?
I think
Correct.
so.
Cool. All right. So when you receive the word from General Yeager to head south to go meet with I'm gonna keep saying it, Octavia. Now Okla is in my head. You guys are welcome to head down that way, of course. One of the cool things that you're gonna pass by on your way down is the moved farm. So let me actually move our map so you guys can see this better. You guys being chat. So here. So because you're going to be able to head south, and you can literally walk by directly past where the new farmland, or the new farm for what's his face is. So you're going to be able to head south. When you head by there, you can see he still has set up small like shanties or lean-tos that are put up by Mice in the Tender as places to help people that were in need. Though, truth be told, there's far less people being kept inside of it. Myson himself doesn't really have to tend to any people, or less tend to them himself and more provide the means for other people to tend to them. He's actually better able to just focus on what he does best, his farm, growing the crops that he likes to grow and so on. He actually has an incredible farm that exists there, lots of products that he makes. Even what's her name? Your smithy, your smith, her favorite pipeweed. He even grows that, which is kind of a difficult thing to grow in the area. So, anyways, heading southeast, you eventually going to make your way to Vigil. It takes you.
Old chat sees is black.
Oh. Oh, hello. Hello.
I want to paint it black.
Yeah.
No colors anymore.
It's going all dark, sir. Is the world ending?
Oh, it
Oh,
pulled
it's
in
like
the
Dark
wrong.
Souls.
I pulled in the wrong image. 1 second.
For the record, I love Dark
That should have
Souls.
fixed it. Yeah. There we go. Oi. Right then. Perfect. All I see is darkness. Nice.
Okay.
All right. So continuing on. So as I said, heading down there, you were able to pass by the farm and see kind of like the update in that area. Takes you, what's that, a day and a half? I think it takes for you to get to Vigil properly. And when you get to Vigil, you're going to be meeting, again, not inside of Vigil, but on the far side of the lake opposite Vigil, where you had at one point in time set up a war camp when you were working in unison with Vigil to fight against Hod Gwen and so on. You remember this area, of course. It was easy for the general to resituate himself back there, not too far from where the old farm happened to be. As a reminder, if you actually look at the map itself, there is actually farmland and a sawmill that all happens to be in that region anyways. I don't know why I have them on separate hexes. That makes no sense. This can actually be on the same hex, can't they? Let's fix it like this. Put the farmland here. It should be on the same hex. There you go. Incentivize is grabbing that hex. Cool. Because that's, of course, where the Myson had set up the stuff beforehand to make those lean-tos and have his farms. So you meet down in that hex right there with the general and kind of, get an update of what's going on. So we're going to pull it into the game, into your characters kind of like rolling into the actual camp. I imagine you don't travel the three of you alone. You come with even just a small, half dozen soldiers, one of them being a bannerman that would come riding in with the flag Valoran. And apparently you attack them.
Well,
Like,
lovely. That works.
General, I do not
Oh my
appreciate all
God.
that you've done. Yeah. And he gains 2 negative levels, and because he's so old, he dies. Yep, there you go.
Heh.
Luckily, your attack roll is garbage, so you missed.
Yeah, it's fine. I was just setting up the attack roll. I had to type in the code for it. It was a pain in the bum.
So you come walking into the camp, and you're able to walk by the soldiers. I imagine your characters just don't go straight to the camp. You spend that additional moment of talking to a soldier here or checking out a situation there, so on and so forth. The typical, just to make sure that they're okay. And then you would make your way over to the camp. To the actual tent. When you go to the tent, the general, as he typically does during his campaign stuff, unless he's in the middle of a meeting and not aware of your arrival, he generally meets you outside. So, of course, he will meet you outside, and meet him outside, meet him outside, meet him outside. And he will, chosen. I don't know if you guys, how you want to kind of proceed from here, have a conversation here, head inside, so on. So I'll throw it to you.
General,
Okay.
and then walk into the tent.
Okay. When you go into the tent, he'll have a couple of other people that are going to be with him. With this particular part of his war campaign, he didn't have Arthur with him. Arthur stayed home. If you remember, you had some RP with Arthur and whatnot recently too. Or at least he was talked about recently. Arthur didn't come with him, so it's just him, nameless NPC lieutenants, and now you three. So when you go in, the lieutenants are going to stay inside the room just because they kind of like will handle things like maybe grabbing a map, moving stuff there, helping to portray the points that he's making as he's discussing. Part of the discussions, you kind of open up with, Chosen, I hope you ride as well, so on and so forth, that sort of a thing. Just the basic pleasantries. He's not big on pleasantries, so he always keeps it to the minimum. And then he would explain kind of the approach that they had and the attack of Vigil itself. Trying to clear out the people, lure out the zombies that were inside there, holding back, just kind of like utilizing the whole area to his advantage. But one of the things he noticed early on in his little campaign, his little conquest, is it seemed as though something on the inside was lending a degree of aid to his goal, his cause of emptying Vigil out. And then we'll kind of, once again, pull it back into game to actual RP. When he says, and as I've previously stated in the request for you to come down here, that's the aid that I received is one that I found a bit of a curiosity. The idea that Octavia was about and present in mind caught me a bit off guard.
Wait,
What condition is she in? Spirit or body?
She's spectral, same as most of the others in Vigil that had fallen prior to the rising of the dead.
Makes sense.
huh.
What
So-
aid did she lend you?
She, when she realized what was happening, she spurred the undead out to attack us. She spurred them forward to attack us. This had twofold effect, or a double-edged effect. On one hand, it helped to pull the zombies out of the keep so we could attack them, attack the walking dead, and lay them to rest finally, permanently. Unfortunately, it also gains the attention of a few of the other specters about as well. We did, of course, lose soldiers in the battle that ensued, but after she would lead them out, she would do what she could to hold back some of those specters, either calling to them and then vaguely listening to her, or directly attacking them herself. They seem to be a bit too frenzied in mind, if you can call it that. Once again, doing her parts to separate one group from the other. I think she understood that we could handle one and not the other. I've tried to communicate with her, but it doesn't seem I'm going to really have much of an ability to do so. I called you down here because the three of you happen to be masters of magic, and figured one of the three of you might have a means to speak with her more easily, or at the very least, your connection to the gods might give you some degree of aid in trying to communicate with her.
She's probably speaks the language of the dead now.
I'm not entirely certain. I know I've heard you use this language a handful of times in the past, and every time you've done so, it has a chilling effect. When she spoke, I didn't really understand what she was saying, but I don't know if it was quite that language. Jake, you don't need a roll to understand this. You do know that there's more of an effect in the real world, in the corporeal world, when someone corporeal uses that language than when someone incorporeal does. Otherwise, it would be a little too foretelling of where their presence is. So when you say words in Necro, it will have a greater effect on the people around it than if a ghost speaks in Necro, right? Because it's almost like innate to them, whereas you're kind of almost like bridging between two worlds. Anyways, continuing on. I've come up with a bit of a method of pulling her attention. Again, I think she has enough presence of mind to understand that we are here and trying to aid, as she's worked in conjunction with my efforts, in tandem with me, to try to eliminate the Walking Dead, and we've all but completed that task. A few stragglers, from what I understand. But it doesn't really help in. I don't know if she fully understands. And because of that, the way that I've been able to draw her out in my one full attempt to try to communicate with her, separate from the actual combat, is to attack her people. Now, of course, they understood what we were doing. I'm not a fool. It was an approach that I came up with in speaking with them. but it was it did, draw her ire.
So Vigil are aware of her presence then?
They are now. They weren't prior. Vigil's actually been trying to send word out, trying to gain aid from the surrounding cities. Unfortunately, their messengers did not get very far. I don't know who you'd rather speak to first, Octavia or the three that they have in charge now.
Shall we get a grasp of the situation from those that are currently leading?
Very well then. I'm sure could give you a better understanding. I'm going to see to it that the military, that the soldiers are better prepared. For one, trying to draw her out, and two, trying to defend against if we draw anything else out as well. They are easily called to. They've been keeping closer to the shore, as you've probably seen beforehand. I'll have one of my men wave a torch to pull their attention this way, so you can meet with them. And I'll take care of, like I said, getting everybody else set up. If you need anything else, I'll be on the field.
Hey, General.
Kind of excuse himself, give the orders to the various lieutenants in the room to prepare for the defense, to prepare for the mock offense, and to send signal to the actual people, leaving the three of you behind inside of his tent in case you wanted to converse with one another, or we could time skip to the meeting with the Vigilites.
Grishka would he would remove his breastplate. He's going to go talk to Octavia the way last time that she's seen him. And while he's doing that, he'd just say to Ilan and Rayron, if she's speaking the language of the dead, I can help you understand. Do we want one of the leaders of Vigil on in on this meeting, or should we leave it to ourselves first?
Why don't we speak to the leaders, see what their opinion is?
If one of them does wish to join, I can probably focus on making sure they're safe. Should things go awry. Any more than that, and it might be getting to unmanageable levels.
When my friends have suffered from similar situations, they have struggled to fight the nature, but it is a struggle. Having people she knows and cares about might help to a degree.
Indeed.
It could. Hopefully, we are able to, or she's able to keep a sound mind. We've seen what these spirits are capable of.
Worst case, if things go awry, I can summon the bat as he looks towards Rayron that you saw before, and I can get them out of there quickly. I wouldn't have to go with them either. I could stay to help you. So one or two, I think I could protect.
Let's not. Let's try to avoid having Octavia die once again.
Oh, I agree. I was more worried about the other specters. If it is true she's sound of mind, at least of mind enough to want to protect the Vigilites, then she'd likely want to protect her friend.
Rain would nod and start moving in the direction of the leaders.
Yep. Oh, pardon me.
So you will get the signal was given to them. They pull closer to the shore. You're given a bit of like a bit of a longboat comes, not longboat, like Yeah, like a longboat comes off of it, and they're able to like row themselves the rest of the way to shore to meet with you. You can see that a couple of Vigilites will come as guards. You can clearly tell, and you can see 3 people come up to meet with you. I know for a fact you know one of them. The other 2, I don't remember if you know them or not. One of them that comes arriving up is just making sure that we have the correct positions here. So you have Wilhelm. He was always never mind. 2 of them you actually know. So you notice Wilhelm comes up to join with you. Wilhelm is always the priest. He was the one that was kind of like the religious leader of Vigil. Unfortunately, you notice there's been a change to Wilhelm. After everything that's happened, after everything that's transpired, he's lucky to have kept his life, despite having lost his right arm. Being a right-handed man, and somebody who is often inside of a book and keeping notes and whatnot, you can imagine this has been incredibly difficult on him, both physically and with the work that he holds dear to himself. So Wilhelm is there, but missing his right arm. You also see the commander arriving as well. He is wearing, of course, the appropriate armor that the commander of this position would wear, but he is not the commander you've always known before. This is actually somebody entirely different. Did you guys ever meet August before?
The name rings a bell.
I recognize that. I think I know that. I think Valorant did.
I don't remember meeting in August.
August sounds very familiar.
So he's actually a blacksmith, and he's actually was the blacksmith inside Vigil. So he actually knows your blacksmith as well. He's a male hobgoblin. So yeah.
Then no, definitely didn't meet August.
Who maybe so I think actually what's his name did Tesh's other character did during his
Valerie.
stay.
He might have
During
at
his
some
stay.
point.
The name
That name
vaguely
does
rings a
ring a
bell,
bell.
but
Yeah.
So you see there is a August, so which is a hobgoblin actually wearing the commander's armor. And then you also see the person that seems to be wearing the armor and the like almost like the regalia of the Vigil is an old Perrin man. You actually do know who this is because you've seen a statue of him in the city before. This is Xander Saros. Not to be confused with Saros, okay? I'm not being paid by the libtard media and those leftist cultist people to push the agenda forward. And I didn't come up with a name. If you're an American, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you're on Reddit.
Glad you're with an entire team of non-Americans.
Yeah.
You have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, but you guys are on Reddit, you know. So Xander Saros, not George Soros. So with Xander Saros coming up, but it's one of those things where even as he's in the boat, you can see that one of the soldiers is literally holding him so he doesn't like sway and fall over in the boat as it's rocking and making its way towards you guys. And when it finally does dock, everybody else gets off first, and then 2 soldiers help him to stand and help him to walk off of the boat and get on land. Once he's on land, he leans heavily on a walking stick, which, funny enough, the walking stick that he uses is actually it's a bastard sword, but like made out of wood. So it's like a themed walking stick. So like it has a bastard sword made out of wood, which is nice because the crossguard of the bastard sword actually acts as something for him to like lean his forearm onto as he needs to, whether if he's like taking a step up like a little hill area, or if he's just standing there for an extended period of time, he can kind of just like lean heavily on it. But he is a withered old man. If you had to guess, well over 100. You know what I mean? Because he's Perrin. He's probably about $120 or so. He's one of the founders of, maybe more. He's one of the founders of Vigil. So, anyways.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's still alive, and apparently has regained his old seat, and he comes walking up with everybody else. And as they approach, Wilhelm gives you a cheery smile. You can see this weariness in his eyes, but hidden by his just overall demeanor and approach to life. You can see that Commander August looks at the three of you, knowing you the least of everybody else, with, of course, as you can imagine with any commander, the eyes of judgment and suspicion. You know, somebody who's clearly gauging you up. And Xander, who took a moment to like lift his head and take in the three of you, but then very much kind of like crooks himself down. Like many ancient people, his neck kind of has that like crook in it that's almost difficult to look at because of like how almost is like a 90-degree angle. His back almost seeming to succumb to a degree of like scoliosis, as like one of his shoulders is hard hunched and whatnot. He is just again a very, very withered old man.
It's called kyphosis. For the record, that it's called kyphosis.
He got Kai fucked. So
out of respect, Ellen would be not wearing his goggles. His goggles would be like around his neck, so he's not hiding anything.
Seeing them approach too, I would turn to you two and say, it seems they lost their other commander.
It's a shame. He was headstrong, but a good enough man.
From the records, it seems so. I don't know this man. Okay, let's go.
yeah, it's like I contributed. So let the record show that I put a thumbs up in response.
I was so close to doing this the second you mentioned he was missing an arm. Saying this like, I can fix that now.
All right, cool. So you Maycole doesn't work on people, okay?
I know. I guessed that it was.
He grabs his arm and just starts like trying to stick it back in the socket, like, get in there, come on. Why aren't you working? You're just an object now anyways. Come on.
No, even worse. The arm grows an entire copy of him, but dead.
But yeah, but a corpse, yeah. So, like a corpse. Like, right, that's disturbing.
Not what I intended.
Anyway, keeps a little bit of dirt on it. Anyway,
it's funny too because you can imagine in game it's one of those moments where it's like humans have just dark thoughts for a moment. You can imagine that. What's his name there? Ilan just kind of like looks at the situation, like. All right, moving on. So they approach, and you'll actually get the speaking first would be Willem. Of course, again with just a genuine smile. You're each kind of like looking as you gather up. Willem says, "It's a pleasure to see old friends at a dark time."
can I extend the apologies and heartfelt condolences for what has befallen your people?
I don't think you need to apologize for anything unless you did it yourself. Good. I'm glad you didn't.
Reren gives him a look like, that's not a very funny joke.
But he wasn't joking.
No,
But it's still a not very funny joke.
Yeah. Wasn't joking. So he follows up with, good. I didn't think it was. And he just looks over at August, because he doesn't have anything else to say at this point. August says, things went sideways. There were the dead. They walked, as the general has already informed us. You dealt with the situation yourself. They attacked a couple thousand at once. It was little we could do to hold back, even if things were okay. Then our companions rose, and they attacked us as well. The ones that helped defend our city, taking Octavia's life, rose and made things worse. Commander Cedric gave his life defending the people so they can get ashore, so they can get afloat. I took his position, and this pretty much just sums up as things were. Little skirmishes on the shore to gather supplies here and there as needed, and certainly that's mushroom there, Myson or whatever its name is. He provided much aid, was able to keep us on the boats longer, keep us alive, and to him we owe a debt of gratitude. This is our state as months passed. I dare say that we did hope to hear from our allies sooner, but of course we were informed by the general that most of Adir has been cleared, much by the efforts of you and your people. So while there may be some within our city that hold a degree of ire for aid not coming from our allies sooner, understands that we also know that we are only one in many cities that exist in Adir, and there was no reason for you to believe that we would need aid, considering we showed how mighty we were prior. Sense motive.
Yep.
You guys can tell that it's one of those things where Rayron, he seems what he's saying is the genuine sentiment of the city. Ilan, you're able to get it's probably not his sentiment, but definitely the sentiment of the city. And Grishka being obnoxiously over the top, I'll give you the last of the detail. Grishka, you're able to know that it was, but looking at the way that the others are keenly listening to how he's phrasing and whatnot, he's probably one of the people that was pretty fucking pissed you didn't show up a lot sooner, considering you were allies and it was literally like part of allegiance to aid one another in times of trouble, and months went by and you never even checked on them. So it was most likely the reason why he spoke and said these words is because the others were like, yeah, bro, you're the one that disagrees with it, so we got to make sure that you're the one that says it because we directed you to say that. Because, you know, they, of course, outvoted him.
Yeah.
You can kind of like pick that up off of it, right? So,
It is-
go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Well, no, I was going to say
It
pulling
is
it back in game.
It is unfortunate that things have taken so long to come to this. As I'm sure you've been informed, all of Adir was hit, and some places, such as Forvin, were almost entirely wiped out. And what was the name of the Ostrad?
Yes.
Ostrad, unfortunately, was entirely wiped out. Part of what we were hoping to do here is we're currently looking at obtaining. This is where he's hoping that he's not overstepping, but looking to obtain metals which should help to fight the specters.
Which brings it to the point. You are our allies. We needed to save our own people from this first, as it was directly impacting our home as well. However, your situation is different to the rest of Adir. See, no one here can hope to fight these specters, not without the proper tools. There is nothing we could have done except come and die. So we did the best that we could.
I'm going to interrupt you. Why are you explaining yourself right now?
The commander
Has given the sentiment of our people. Let us move on. No defenses need be put up, lest it be defenses from the living to the dead.
You must allow my chosen to explain our actions.
Your actions
This
are
was not
understood
done
and
without
appreciated.
We also wish to convey that we are sorry that we've had to wait this long. We wish we could have helped sooner.
As a man who has days left, if I'm lucky, months left on this world, let's not waste it with excusing one's actions. Time has passed. Your general has explained. Let us move on. There are
understand that
still
you're-
dead that
oh,
are
and
walking.
You are a part. You have a leadership position amongst your people. You do not lead us. I have come here to help. We all have. If I wish to say whatever I wish to say, I would like to say it without being interrupted, please.
Willem, of course, has that practice look on his face like, shit. You know what I mean? And Willem chimes in and says, okay, well, let's us bring... I can't do this because he's missing an arm. Willem says, why don't we stick to the matter at hand? The world is in a terrible state right now, and instead of bickering over who gets to apologize for what, why don't we all just, fix the world and put it the way it should be? I think we can all agree that the dead belong in the ground, and the people belong above it.
Indeed, you rather look like you could use a hand.
He gives you a look like that was not a very funny joke. You can actually see the August tenses up very much at that, and the whole thing goes over very, very poorly. And you can hear the old man mumble something, and you're welcome to roll a perception check to see if you can hear it.
Fuck it, let's do it. With my 1. Nope.
I'm just waiting for Rayron.
Yeah, I'm not rolling.
Oh, okay.
I like it. Like
He's
Valerie.
not, he doesn't care.
Grishka, with your 24, you're able to hear him say, in short, I understand her misgivings. Like, I understand her misgivings.
I'm going to shoot a look to Rayron.
Wow. Well, there's a hard reset on the leadership of them, and you guys walk in and you're like, I'm going to be a dick. And it's like, ugh.
We haven't once been a dick. They have been dicks. Again.
It pains me greatly to understand that Octavia has risen. How can we assist in this scenario? She is an honorable woman, an honored leader, and an honorable sacrifice was made. How is it we can assist you in writing this?
The general, this is August, the general has stated that you are in an attempt right now to try to gain access to some degree of ore, some type of material that would allow you to hack through them, same as you would any other foe. Obviously, that would be a method of overcoming our enemy here. But apparently that still is many months away from being able to have full access to that, or at least as far as he understood, unless you have different news on that front. Beyond that, any other means of containment? I truth be told, I don't know much about the three of you because I've barely interacted with the three of you, more seen, well, two of you, honestly, walk through the streets before, and that's about it. I was hoping that someone with a strong background in dealing with such creatures in the past would have an understanding of how to deal with these creatures. I would say looking to one.
I do. Whilst we could take a spectre or two at a time ourselves, it would be taking an extremely long time to clear the city. Do you have any idea on numbers, how many of the spectres there are within the walls?
It's over 100. That's all I can say. We've seen them moving dozens at a time.
Mundane weapons do not work against them, as you have probably found out yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The ore that we have found will allow you a chance. Not every swing will hit, but maybe half as much. Will allow us to gain not an even playing field, but a step in the right direction.
You have made allies along the way, you personally, with others that are from where you're from. Do you not know anybody that has another means of fighting them? Or is this the only method that you and your people used to be successful to survive in those lands?
Like I said, there are some amongst us that are able to take these things on. Most don't, though. Most die. There are spells that can be cast to help injure them, but for an army, we would need many spellcasters, and we do not have that access here in Adir. My people, both Valoran and others of my order, would gladly lay down our lives in the defense of our allies. But, and the reason I was saying before, I will not command them to die without the ability to at least take a couple with them. That's why we're after the ore.
That's the state that we found ourselves in. We fought until we realized fighting was just flailing helplessly, and then we retreated, and this is the state that we're in. He says, kind of grumbling on. Wilhelm kind of chimes in and says, we've made a few excursions, as previously stated, into the city to gather supplies before Myson was able to ramp up his production of crops and help to keep us alive. In one such excursion, I found myself back into the library that was, maintained by Vanessa. She's still with us, of course, though she's back on the barge. Vanessa had given me instruction of where to search, and I was doing a little bit of research. Unfortunately, it's when I gestures towards his arm. Continuing, he says, I thought that your people knew of rituals and stuff like that. This is why August had brought up the question. I thought you knew of rituals or other means of fighting them or pulling them to a more corporeal, I think is the word, like a more solid state for us to battle them. Do you not know of such rituals, or if not, because obviously, as you said, many that fight them die, do you not have a means of accessing or reaching out towards others that might know these rituals? The ore, of course, would be of a great benefit, but anything else that would provide us an extra degree of aid in this fight?
Do I know what he's talking about? The religion check?
I should seek guidance from the Arbiter in this instance. However, as you are well aware, gods act on whims rather than needs.
You know that Mog has talked about rituals before, but you don't know exactly which ritual he might be talking about. So you might be able to talk to Mog and get a better answer from him. And as to what Neil said in-game, continuing with, what's his name there, responding. Sorry. Wilhelm responding. He says, the Arbiter? I don't know this god.
He is the brother deity, if you will, of the Mater. Their domains are opposite to a degree, yet connected. I'm happy to tell you more about it at perhaps a more free time.
Roll a sense motive, all three of you.
Uh-oh.
As for a ritual...
Oh, fucking good. At least one's got this. Grishka. Oh, thank fuck.
I'll let you continue 1 second, Neil. Jake, just so you know, as he's talking about this, talking about like the brother of the martyr and all that fun stuff, you can see that the old man he seems to be listening keenly. One of those things where you get the impression he's listening to see exactly what he's saying, not because he's like, oh, what's this do? Like, almost you get the impression like he might know something. But continuing Rayrin, as he was saying.
That doggo is so disgusting cute. Rain would say, as for a ritual, if we were unable to come up with anything else, perhaps an adaptation of an existing ritual. We have a great many scholars available to us. Originally, you have a ritual which requires the life sacrifice to draw spirits into the incorporeal realm within your city. Perhaps an adaptation of this ritual can see a life sacrifice to draw them corporeal. That is, of course, a theory, but they are still tied to the sword, which would be required for this, I imagine.
Same thing, Grishka. You know that with the mention of the sword being tied to it, once again, he's the way that he's just quietly listening, and because he's an old guy, kind of like leans back and forth a lot. He's kind of very still, listening closely. You get that same impression.
Do you have any insight? I don't know his name, so I'm just going to call him Old Man.
Xander Saros.
And
Yeah. Or you could just
Okay,
call
I'll
him.
use his name, I just forgot it.
Oh, no, you're fine. Or you can call him the Vigil. Or Vigil. So,
No, I won't call him Xander.
sure. So, do you have any insight, Venger? Xander, you say? When you say his name, he seems to be startled. He's an old guy. It's one of the cool things about being an old person is you get to like play off being ignorant a lot. It's one of those things where it's kind of a perk of being old. What? I can't hear you. No, so chasing children off the lawn with their stick. I'm looking forward to those days. So you have any insight, Xander? And he says, perhaps.
Very nice.
This and chat, please let me know if my voice cuts out because of my gain and whatnot on this, so I can make sure it doesn't do that to you. This arbiter that you refer to, he do you have a description of him?
He's a god. I can describe how he has appeared to me previously.
Please do.
He appeared to me as a tall parent, male, powerful, warped the existence of the world around him during his presence. It was inspiring.
You have always known him as a god?
I have always known the Arbiter as God.
For a moment, I thought maybe, but apparently not. I thought at one point in time I once met with a creature who I identified with being of relation to the martyr, though extracting that information was a bit difficult, as he really didn't seem to remember much about himself. It doesn't
Yes.
matter.
I have met several creatures that bear relation to the Martyr. Ilan here for one. Valrin, though I suppose that counts as one. Athena, Firebird, raised with the Martyr herself. Some of her divinity appears to have rubbed off. She is a fascinating creature.
I'm referring to a creature that I believe has since faded, that once existed in old ruins that we converted many years ago into other means.
How might this
Where was
creature
this?
assist us currently?
I'm sorry?
Varian says, how might this creature assist us currently?
It's... You were mentioning relation to the martyr, and you might know this, but I was actually one of the people that created Vigil about a century ago. Back in those early years, we were pursued. We honestly didn't know if we would survive, if we would make it out, if we would live against Paradel, and we found a spot defensible and had some natural ruins. We stayed by the lake, eventually explored the ruins, and discovered this creature. We were able to work with it. Some of those that were with us back then knew a degree of magic. Funny that you have in your group here someone that is from the Barren Lands, because we had with us someone that also had teachings from the Barren Lands as well, though certainly not a worshipper of Vroga, as you can imagine, and certainly not an orc, as again you can imagine at the time. But a man that's understood some magics that were used there. I don't understand the finer details, but I do know that they used their magic and this creature we encountered. And as the years rolled on, they were the ones that created the monuments at the cemetery. They were the ones that created the means for us to call to our own when needed, as a last resort, to call for all that have always defended Vigil to defend it once more.
So Vigil is built on these ruins then.
Vigil is built on these ruins. We had actually discovered in those ruins there was a map that showed where other ruins were. But Vigil is not a place that easily likes to be found. What if one of our enemies found the location? We sent people to each of the other ruins and had the representation of ours carved out of the stone, so it could not be found.
Grishka bites his lip a little bit.
Truly, you are wizened and carry great experience. What you're saying is you think the statue and this ritual may well be the key.
I know they used a ritual to create the statue. It makes sense that if someone knows such magics, that perhaps they could do the reverse. And if you say that this arbiter has some relation with the martyr as well, I Again, we discovered what we discovered, much like bleeding a stone. But we had the decades to figure it out.
If we could make our way to the map room, there may be records of this ritual. Originally, your founding members would have used this as some form of repository, storage, perhaps even shelter.
The map room itself is not used. It's inside. It's been walled up. Our keep that was there, we bricked off most of it because we didn't want to invite further dangers. We converted some of it into a barracks and some of it into a jail and so on, but we walled up much of it, and that room was part of it. We didn't want... as we've learned recently.
Raymond like grimaces, like realizing, oh god, 2 in 1 is a bit much.
Can I roll sense motive to see if he is like he knows a lot more than he's saying?
Actually,
Feel free.
What
Yeah.
I'm about to say also matters on whether he's.
Yeah, Raymond will do that.
No, I know nothing.
Same.
So what I was about to say was,
Just to be clear, you guys all think he's being forthright, and what's your name there? Tesh, continue.
so we know that these map rooms have had hidden compartments and such in the past. I'm not saying that you might have missed them, but given the activation of first of all, the breaking of the curse and the activation of many of the other keeps, something may have opened up. It might be worth checking out.
The issue with trying to investigate this, and it might be a good idea to do so, is that it is in the heart of Vigil. It is in the center of Vigil, so whoever would try to get there would find themselves in a rather dangerous position.
Well, that brings me to the other part.
My understanding
Oh, sorry.
is that the walls of these keeps contain an ore that prevents incorporeal creatures from traveling through them. If someone were able to make it within, it would be a simple matter for them to leave.
You're saying that kicking in at this point, August, who seemed to not know any of the stuff that he was talking about before, and Wilhelm, who likewise seemed to not know any of the stuff that he's talking about before. August chimes in and says, so what you're saying is that you would just simply need to get there, and then you would be safe there.
Reasonably.
The doors of the keeps have, if they're still the original doors, have been known to be able to stop specters in the past.
Well, there was, by the sounds of it, remodeling. It depends how much of the original ore was used in the construction of these structures.
Wilhelm will chime in and say, I honestly wasn't aware that this was even a thing. We knew that some of those buildings were built of mole ruins, but we didn't think anything of it at the time. I honestly don't know how much of it was a part of the reconstruction. And chiming in, Xander would say, I also was not in charge of that task. I was one of the founders. The others have perished many, many years ago. So, knowledge of the ritual, I believe, died with my friends, and the one that oversaw this construction was also died some decades ago, certainly before any of the current leaders that you had met were born, or the previous leaders that you had met were born.
There's a factor which may help with this. We know that Octavia has risen, but we also know that she is not mindless as some of the other specters are. We had intended on attempting communication with her. We believe we have a method of communication, but we were wondering if a friendly face might help with the initial contact going smoothly. If we could communicate with her, we might be able to get her to help.
So the brain's not working. Wilhelm would ask.
Wilhelm, Xander.
Yeah, Wilhelm will
Oh,
ask.
sorry.
Sorry, it's just I have other things up, so I don't have my notes always in front of me. Wilhelm will ask. Who did you have in mind?
We were hoping that you would know if someone would be a close friend or someone who would be able to talk to her that she would instinctively know as a good friend.
The person that she knew best, the person that she would turn to the most for all sorts of guidance and tutelage is, of course, and he looks down to Xander, the first Vigil.
This could be a potentially deadly meeting for any of the members.
I understand, and as you might imagine, I wasn't afraid of death until I saw that it might make me walk again.
Well, don't go dying just yet. We might well need you for a ritual.
But I can assure you, there is no issue of people now dying and rising again. That has been solved.
The rising was a single instance. No further dead have risen since then.
Do you know what caused this event?
Some form of soul burst. That's
Souls
all
have
we've been able to tell.
Souls had been trapped in a deer for hundreds of years, and they are now finally free to pass on from a deer, but in the event that allowed them, we believe, to pass on also likely resulted in the rising.
You can actually see a bit of relief, Grishka specifically, you can see a bit of relief coming off of him that you could actually attribute to earlier when he seems to be listening intently, so on and so forth. You now get why he had such a strong tell, at least that you were able to pick up, right? He thought maybe the creation of this monument, the activation of the monument by Octavia, maybe that was partially at fault for what happened through a deer. You see there's a bit of relief that falls him, allowing him to believe that maybe it wasn't us, or there's a good chance that it wasn't us, which is probably why he was a bit tense when you guys first got here, having a lot of guilt on his mind for, the past century or so.
Picking that up, he would just interject and say, we can speak about the specifics of that later. I have one question. All information about the founding or whatever it was to do with this ritual that happened, did you burn all your old information, or could it have been bricked up in that map room?
It was never mine to look at. It belonged to the other founder, and he was pretty secretive of what he had learned from back east, from back before that major horde had rolled its way out of the barren lands and before the formation of Conjunxie. Oh, blimey. Names after, hobgoblins don't last very long, as you might know. He's died some 70 years ago. What was the bastard's name?
Well, there's plenty of time to think, so don't rush it and remember a terrible name.
His name was Hindle.
No.
Um,
Okay.
Hindle Cuntleton.
Oh, fuck off.
Okay, so that's canon.
I'm going for a
Yeah.
P.
No, it's actually tonic. But because Neil, we'll say tonic Hindle.
Is that a name known in the Barrenlands?
Actually, no, because you guys don't really keep records like that in the Barrenlands. It's mostly oratory and certainly very tribal oriented. So if he's from a different tribe, he's not seen as somebody you would generally venerate. Let's say a person of a different tribe is not generally seen as somebody you would venerate unless they were like, ah! And considering whoever this was left the Barrenlands, fuck that guy. You know what I mean?
All right, so there's nothing there. All right, I can keep us safe for 8 minutes from specters. None will be able to touch us or approach us. There may be information with this in regards to this ritual in probably the one area that it wouldn't be found, bricked up in the map room.
The problem is, if we send people in there now, says August, without the means to appropriately attack or defend themselves, we will be sending them in to die. So this is an important thing, I agree, but perhaps this should be done in tandem with the ore. The ore gives us a fighting chance, but not a means to directly win. Perhaps we use that fighting chance to get to where we need to and discover what we need to.
True. However, the specters cannot enter the room.
This may be true, but you have to fight your way to the room.
I can keep us safe for 8 minutes from all specter attacks. 8 minutes is all I can do.
Question mark?
Anti-incorporeal shell.
Does that require a saving throw from the incorporeals?
It does not. You bring into being a mobile hemispherical energy field. I don't have it on my.
Because you have it from your ritual that you can do once a month.
Creatures. Yeah, it says I can make an energy field that incorporeal creatures cannot enter. It doesn't say anything about a saving throw. None.
Okay. My dire bat is a large creature. It should be able to carry all three of us, right?
No, absolutely not.
No?
No. Think about it. A horse couldn't carry 3 people, and and a horse doesn't have to fly.
Athena's only large though, right?
Athena was large.
And she can carry 3.
She's not anymore.
Athena was large.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is, I'm not saying, oh yes, Athena could do it. I'm saying Athena was large size and could carry 3 of us.
Oh, Athena was also unique. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so's this summoned bat.
No, it's not. It's generic summon bat.
Yeah.
Out of game, I could
is
make it. I
celestial.
could make it there, and we could actually, if I had a flag, claim it and let ourselves in.
A mobile hemisphere energy that incorporeal creatures cannot enter. The spell can be used defensively, not aggressively, forcing abjuration barrier against creatures that the spell keeps at bay, collapse the barrier. Now, here's the issue. If you walk towards them, they can pass through the barrier, but they cannot come towards you.
It's still, that I would argue that it's still defensive walking through them, isn't it?
Yeah. It wouldn't. It'd be pushing them. I don't think it has the ability to push them aside. Is what he's saying.
Correct. So they can't walk into it, but if you walk into them, they get through the barrier. And then they're like, "Hey, party inside the sphere." So
Yeah.
Does anyone have hide from undead?
hide from undead doesn't work against intelligent
You
undead.
still
They
have
get a
the-
saving throw.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't like auto
If we
work.
still had the catalyzer.
I've
Just
got
put
a hide from
the
undead
hide from
potion.
undead potion. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could.
But that's not going to work. against
It's something that
What if we just
I could.
reach into the chest and pull out an invisibility cloak?
Ah,
The only problem is I could reach there. I'm confident with either a horse or something. I could make my way there, and then once I got to where I need to go, even if I took a couple of hits or whatever, I could.
What? Wait.
I could activate it. But the thing is, we're still going to get through a wall, which is the only problem. If I had like someone that casts stone shape or something, I could instantly kind of get around it, but that's the only problem.
No, I can't stone shape. I can only repair. I can't destroy. No, so the other thing I was gonna ask with the whole Diabat flight speed of 40. How far in terms of in 8 turns could that get? Because I imagine
8 turns. He said 8 minutes. Oh, gotcha. So what?
Yeah.
First round you double move, so that's 80, and then after that it can triple move because you're going to be so heavy. It's at a medium load. So it would be able to triple move. So that's 120. 120 times 7 is 700 and 7 times 2 840. 840 plus what did I say? 80. So 920 feet. So about just shy of a fifth a mile.
Okay, so fairly decent. That would be able to get into like most places in Vigil, right?
I mean, yeah, that's a fifth a mile. I mean, that's pretty. Vigil was designed to be very tight. It's very tight.
That doesn't mean much to me.
A mile is what, 2.2 kilometers or something like that, or 2.1 kilometers or something.
Okay, yeah. So it would be able to get into places.
Kilometers are tiny. Miles are much bigger. So
that's one of those things where I wonder if you could get a signal to
maybe
I'd be able
1.6
to
kilometers.
join you once you get there, sort of thing, and give us.
Yeah, but he's not here right now, Joey. We're like, it's already in my head to talk to him, but in discussing with these people right now, we're just running ideas around.
I think part of it too is that you don't necessarily need to do it because like their Vigil is in like a state where they're in homeostasis, like they can hold this for a while. They're not actively fighting anymore. Like their lives have already gotten better by all the zombies being taken care of. I mean, so you don't necessarily need to go running in headlong.
Pardon me, we may even be able to get Octavia to do recon for us.
Yeah, I considered that as well.
All right, well, I guess, unless anyone else has anything to say, we should meet with Octavia.
I think that's the next order of business, probably. Sorry,
Raven will want to have a quick word with Wilhelm to the side.
Sure, yeah, go ahead. So it's kind of like you guys are finishing up your meeting and minor pleasantries, like basic stuff, but of course nobody's in the mood for pleasantries. Everybody's kind of, fuck life. You adjourn, and then he'll gladly step to the side with you when you do so.
You're an intelligent man and book learned. I would offer you an opportunity if you wished. I could teach you some basic magic that would alleviate the loss of your hand. Basic spells, prestidigitation, mage hand, open, close, perhaps even read, something like that. If you would care, I'm happy to teach you.
He opens up your player's handbook and points out the S on a couple of those spells and says,
"You can still do some magic with a single hand."
Just kidding.
Really? Yeah, you need to summon Mage Hand in without somatic components, and then use the Mage Hand for the somatic components.
That's fucking doing the Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, nice.
Oh,
That's so creepy.
That scared me. That was.
Did not enjoy that. Anyway, Raymond makes the offer.
No, thank you.
So the he says, I might take you up on that. Now perhaps not the time, but when we have things resolved, I very well may take you up on that.
Well, you know where I am.
I do. Neighbors of the North.
That was him ending the conversation. And then Wilhelm was like, wait a minute, I'm not actually charismatic at all. I can't read the situation. I do know where you live. You're to the north, about this many miles.
You live at 555.
It's 666, actually.
With Xander, I don't quite know how aging works in terms of stats and stuff. Would restoration help him temporarily? to like. No.
He's just trying to restore his young age.
No.
We just need him talking faster than Cthulhu.
He's like,
maybe that'll
I
help.
can
One,
feel my legs
talking
again.
cast. I was more just trying to make it so if I had any way of making it easier for him.
There's
To,
actually specifically a spell for like
actually.
reducing somebody's age penalties temporarily, but I can't remember the spell.
I can give him bear's endurance and bull's strength for a temporary boost to being able to move around.
It'd still have no dexterity, so it'd still be like, oh, wobbly knees.
Fuck. I don't have
Just
the
running
dexterity.
really fast, but like a drunk man.
He's like, Claudette, I got that stamina back. Big boy's got the strength.
I hate that. I hate that so much. I'm so angry I said anything.
Yeah, let's go to this meeting.
Can we take a quick break before that happens?
Yeah.
Yes, we
Yes,
absolutely
Scott,
can.
you slave driver.